Welcome in. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle for the over 50 and over 60 women. I'm so glad you're here today. This is going to be the most interesting video you watch all week, if not all month. It is going to be so great. I'm glad you're joining us. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to go over to the chat and tell me where you're tuning in from, whether it's the US, what state are you from? If you're in another country, let us know who you are and where you're from. I want to give you guys the story of how this guest came to be on Pretty Over 50. And it was such a cool little story. I was on my phone on Instagram one day, and I must have had my volume on Instagram, which I rarely do, but I was scrolling through and this video came up of this beautiful blonde woman, and she was talking about staying safe and safety tips for women. And I'll tell you what, it was so funny. I sat there and binge watched her videos for about 30 minutes. And then I told my girlfriend Lori about it. You guys know Lori. She did the same thing. It was so fascinating to me to learn all the things that I didn't know. And you guys know that I have traveled a lot by myself. And I'm thinking, how did I even survive? So what I decided is I thought, I want to get this gal on the show because she could be so helpful to you guys. So I sent her a little email and I didn't hear back. And I thought, shoot, she's probably super busy. Doggone it. And I was thinking about emailing her again. And then she got back to me. She had actually been in Israel training on some new trip. And she was really excited to come on. So I would like to welcome in Amber Haddock. Welcome, Amber. It's so nice to have you.
It's an honor being here, Kimberly. Thank you. I'm a big fan of yours. So,
well, you guys, this is going to be the most interesting hour, about an hour that you guys are going to have all week, probably all month. What Amber does is she specializes in tips and tricks for staying safe as a female. And I was blown away when I was watching her videos on Instagram. You guys have got to go follow her on Instagram. It will be one of your favorite accounts. I've listed it in the description box down below. It is so fascinating. You'll learn so much. So Amber, how did a beautiful, nice girl like you get into a business like this? Tell us your story.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Great introduction. Yeah, I'm a former police officer. I did 3 years with Dallas County, believe it or not. And although I love the police, I love the training, just for me and how my brain processes, it's more of a, you get something happens and then you get called and it's pretty much the same thing over and over. And the way I operate, I want more prevention, right? So I kind of went down a different avenue, and it's called executive protection, which mostly in America, it's called bodyguard. And so I actually went through a school, 14, 15 days in the desert. It was incredible training, learned motorcade, goodness, pulling extraction from the client out of the car, crazy bodyguard, as you can imagine, like a movie, right? So upon graduation, the gentleman that ran the course was like, "Hey, how serious are you?" And I was like, if this is a real job and I could really do this and help people, let's go. So oddly enough, my first client was a Saudi royal family. And so that was a whole nother journey. But yeah, so that's kind of my little bit of a journey just to get to executive protection and being able to get prevention for the client, instead of having something happen and then call the police and then, ambulance and all this stuff that happens. So I've learned a lot along the way too. I have been in places that I probably shouldn't have been into, but you learn along the way. And that's what the whole Instagram is about, is to give back to the community that actually really needs it.
Yeah. So I find it fascinating that this was just your hot button. Like you kind of, the being in the police force was sort of there, but once you got there, so what was it about the training, bodyguard is what we call it here in the US. What was it about the training that just rang all your bells?
You know, you're right. It rang every bell. Everything made sense to me. The light came on, right? It was like, if this is a real job, like, could I really be protecting families, dignitaries, princesses, you know? And at first, when my friend told me about bodyguard school, protection school, I was like, is this even real? I think he was messing with me, kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, you get to learn convoy, you get to learn military stuff at a civilian level. And I was like, well, I mean, I'll give it a go. And everything made sense finally, right? Everything that was for me personally at the police level, I was like, God, this is what I've been looking for. I didn't even know. Now, and then the next question is like, who's going to hire me? I'm a tall blonde. Like, I don't get it. I'm not a man, you know, I'm not, you know, 6'7". I don't, you know, you see all these big, beautiful, big men, and I'm just like, I don't know what am I doing? Like, who's going to hire me? So I went down that rabbit hole, and definitely, oddly enough, very employable. So it was it's been great.
You know, I promise you guys we're going to get to some tips really quickly, but I've just got to ask her this question. So what was it like with your first job for the Saudi royal family? I mean, tell us just even a little bit. I mean, that sounds so exotic.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, it's fine. It's they're great people. So the royal family, the Muslim community, right? So the women have to be with the women, the men have to be, it's just cultural, it's fine. So that's kind of how 15 years ago, that was really the only job for female agents. Now, you know, it's grown. Now the world has grown. Now we have female CEOs, female CFOs that are requesting. So the world's changed. It's beautiful. It's brilliant now. But back then we didn't have a place. And the place was with the royal family, Saudi, Emiratis, the Qatars. I've been with them all and been so blessed. The princess that I had was in an undisclosed location, and she was in college for a couple of years. And I was able to receive her and to be with her an interesting amount of time for her to, you know, produce an education here and get a degree here in America. And we had this amazing storyline that I was her, you know, American mom. And so I would drive all the kids to the parties, to the school, to the after stuff, and cool lady that drove everybody around, you know. So that was kind of our cover story.
You didn't say I'm the bodyguard. You guys had like a little scenario.
A little bit of a story.
Just soften it a little.
We had a little bit of story. It was really cool. It was fun. And you know, I would be at the school hanging out just around in case of emergency happened, and I could extract her from her school, from her classes, and carry on to the nearest hospital or whatever the scenario was. We actually were in a location and an earthquake happened. You know, I mean, you trained so much for other things, but it's hard to, you know, Mother Nature always throws in something fun. So it's been interesting. It was a really cool, really amazing family, actually. Really, really good. Very stern, but we all had our place. It was really very, very, very grateful for that family.
So my guess, Amber, is that you're quite in demand at this point.
It's growing demand, yes. I actually I have a business partner, president of Women in Protection. I'm vice president. So we are actually now at the point 15, 16 years later, you know, we want to empower women. We want to mentorship women agents coming in the field and get them squared away and get them jobs. So it's really been a blessing to be in this field for so long.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I'm looking over at the chat. There's already two people that say, oh, I follow Amber already. Like, oh, okay, maybe I'm late to the party. All right, so I want to jump in right now because I have really smart, vibrant viewers. I mean, they're awake and aware and all that, but there was so much I have learned from you. Can you kind of run down what you see as just the top concepts that we can integrate, and talk to us like we've never had this conversation before, because we haven't.
I love it. Perfect.
And we'll kind of talk about how women, particularly women our age, 50 and above, maybe not as fast or as agile or as, strong as someone in their 20s. Talk to us about what you see as just some foundational practices that we need to adopt to stay as safe as possible.
Absolutely. Great question. All ages, right? I think that the women in general, well, I'm a target. I mean, I'm a woman, I'm tall, blonde, that's just what it is. And that's I guess being aware of that just off the bat before you leave your house. One thing is, don't look meek. Honestly, a lot of my older women are aware because they've been around. Their eyes are up. The older people really aren't in their phones, and the targets now are the kids, because they're on the phone. They're the easy target. It's kind of an interesting, if you can see the statistics on who's getting knocked over the head, it's the younger crowd. So for once, the older 50s, I mean, we're pretty much, we're golden. So just one is me, you clearly work out, I've seen your videos too. You stay aware. The phone's, your head's not the phone, your head's on a swivel. My biggest is awareness, right? So what I want y'all to remember is, if you go to the grocery store, we all go to the grocery store, what happens 9 times out of 10 after the grocery store? You go home, right? Yeah. So who is following you from the grocery store to your house?
I never even thought of that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wake-up call, but we're fine. But this is why we're here, right? So when you're in the store, you go get your groceries, you check out. Just at that moment, start looking around. Where you parked, who's parked around you. And I'm not saying I should look at every license plates. I'm just saying, if the bad people do not ever want to be identified, right? That's it's hard to put somebody in jail if you don't know what they look like, right? So hence the hoodies, hence, all these things that hurting people at night, because it's hard to visibility, right? So if you are able to look into the cars, look around you, head on a swivel, and if someone thinks that they can be identified, they're not going to, it's very rare that they're going to probably follow you home and be like, oh man, that woman, I think she saw me, it's that
fear. So
it's
just the fact of looking at them and letting them know you're aware. Right there could stop a whole lot of trouble.
I had, for instance, speaking of grocery stores, I had a young lady DM me privately, right? So she said she saw my video on the grocery store. It was hilarious. I think I got 5 million views, and how to put your groceries in. So she had put her groceries in, and she had taken the cart. She locked her car, thank God, and then took her cart back into the grocery store. And I don't know why she didn't just put it there or whatever, but she had walked in to the grocery store, put her buggy up, came back out, looked at her car, 3 men standing at her car. And she felt something like the hair on her neck and or something in her stomach. And she was just like, they weren't there 2 minutes ago when I was putting the groceries up. So she then remembered, was like, I'm going to ask for help. So she went to the manager or a cashier, was like, hey, can you come walk me back out? And the manager did, came back out, and they were gone. So they were waiting for her to come back, and probably wanted to see if she locked the car, because people are just sneaking in people's cars, and people are not locking their cars, going to return something, or a cart, as simple as a cart. If you have your back turned 1 minute and your car's not locked, people are going to be in that car waiting for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So lock your doors. It's super, some simple, like, don't look meek, look people in the eyes. Being simple of what guys want, or bad people. I mean, there's a lot of women out there that are really being naughty. It's everybody. It's they want it's like a lion in the wild. The lion in the wild is going to get somebody that's some animal that's a baby, or somebody that's limping. It's an easy target. So just don't be the easy target.
Yeah. And don't look like an easy target.
Don't look like it. Fake it till you make it.
Right. Perfect. All right. So head on a swivel. And that's so important. And I know that we can apply those same concepts to a gas station as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of videos of you in the gas station teaching me how to pump gas.
It's crazy. It's simple, right? But there's so much going on at the grocery store. I mean, at the pump, and you're flustered, you're going in, you're ran out of gas, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I find it very interesting that there are people around getting gas, and they're sitting there waiting and looking to hurt somebody. Or, hey, guess what? In about 5 minutes, you're going to have a full tank of gas. I want your car.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, these are all things that I didn't think of. Yes, if someone needs transportation and you just filled it up, you just gave them a gift.
A gift.
Yeah, they can drive away in your car and they're happy. And probably your purse is in your car too.
Oh gosh, everything's in my car.
Yeah. So, okay. So head on a swivel, staying safe, being aware, don't look like a victim. What's up next? What do you see for particularly women our age?
Right. So I feel like complacency is one, and I get complacent too. I'm not just harping on everybody. There's a reason why I do videos, because
oh shoot, Amber, you just froze again. Okay, we're gonna give it a second. While Amber is unfreezing, and Amber, I know you can hear me, so I'll let you know when you're not frozen anymore. Put over in the chat, you guys. I think it's over there for you guys. If you have any questions for Amber, put it in the chat and I can ask her when she comes back. And hopefully, we had this issue when we were preparing to go live. So the bandwidth in her home right now probably isn't where it needs to be, because there's a big storm right now where she lives. So we'll go ahead and wait a couple of minutes. If it doesn't solve itself, then we can definitely have Amber back when her schedule allows. So it took us a while to get, so she's gone out of the studio. She'll come back again. Who has a question for Amber? I know this is such a hot topic for me. And I was wondering, after I watched her Instagram feed, how I made it through all that time that I traveled alone. Granted, I was thinking about safety. I always kept my bags near me, but I don't think I'm even as aware as I need to be when I'm out and about. My head is definitely not on a swivel. I'm often thinking about everything that I've got to do that day, or mulling over a problem, or this and that. So I'm not as aware as I wished I were. So these tips from Amber have been so very important. So over here we have, Diane, you used to teach self-defense. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we have Amber back.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my internet.
That's okay. It probably has to do with the storm. All right. So I was just saying that I probably walk around not focused on my environment much more. And I'll tell you, the other day I was out in my community and a woman was looking at her phone and walking across the street. I had to slam on my brakes. She never even looked up. So we've all seen that. Don't be that girl.
Don't be that girl.
Yeah.
Definitely not. People are getting run over and getting killed. I mean, just on the phone and stepping. And another thing, it's not necessarily looking for the bad guy and head on a swivel and, but it's potholes. It's like walking and stepping over the curb and breaking your ankle. Like, you just need to be more observant. People so silly stuff right now. It's insane.
Yeah,
crazy.
and people are distracted. There's a lot going on in the world right now. We're a little goofy. Okay, so women our age, what do you see the most as far as what we need to look out for? Like, what are people picking on older women about?
I hate to say this because I love jewelry. I love my rings, my diamonds.
Oh, shoot, Amber, he just froze again. Okay. All right, let's do this, you guys. I am so excited to get you guys this information, but we're having trouble with Amber's internet right now. So we'll probably have to come back and revisit this. I am so grateful that she gave our time today. We will have her back on whenever her schedule allows. I know that she's very, very popular right now. She's in demand, but I promise we'll have her back. Maybe we'll just do it in a video. So if you have questions for Amber, go ahead and put it over in the chat or down in the comments down below. Absolutely 100% go follow her on Instagram. I have it linked in the description box down below. You will learn so much from just watching her Instagram. I know I've learned so much, and I am much more awake and aware right now about my environment, and I'm not, being a ditz out there anymore. So definitely go follow Amber on Instagram. You will learn so much. You'll really, really be happy about that account. We will definitely have Amber back at a later date, and hopefully we can do a live, because I know it's nice for you guys to be able to ask questions. So if you have questions for Amber that I can store and put away for the next time we have her on, go ahead and put them in the chat or in the comments down below. I'm just really, really glad that you guys are now aware of her and can take advantage of her information. The other thing I want to tell you is I was talking to Amber before we went on live, and she is thinking about starting a Patreon channel where she will actually teach self-defense. So you'll definitely want to follow her on Instagram so that you can be aware if she starts that, and that you can, get in on that class if that's something that sounds important to you. One thing I can tell you is that, things are getting a little bumpy out in the world right now. Crime seems to be on the rise. There seems to be a lot of unrest. I think this information is so valuable. And I want to talk with her about guns. She carries a gun. She's a big girl with a gun. I always thought if I owned a gun, I would shoot my butt off or something. That's the kind of person I am. But I do want to talk with her about, should women our age own a weapon like a gun? And if so, how do we manage it in a very safe way? So I'm going to say goodbye for today. I am so glad that you stopped by. Please go follow Amber on Instagram. It's going to be one of the coolest accounts you follow. We will have her on again very, very soon. Thank you guys so much. I have a fun video coming for you this Sunday. Can't wait to see you then. All right, make it a great day. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye now.